The Rambler Network.
When we dig up the first of history, the signal is often weak. The oldest music ever recorded for playback is nearly impossible to hear, but its significance is deafening. It's the first scratch in time, the mark that lets us find all the others that followed. But sometimes, what we think is the first isn't after all. This is the Digressor Firsts. The silent film era wasn't really silent, of course. Movie houses had live piano players, organists, even small orchestras. Sound was everywhere, just not part of the film. Actors acted, title cards translated emotion, and musicians, some brilliant, some barely awake, filled in the gaps. But in 1927, that all changed. Because ask anyone, or glance at a film textbook, and you'll find one title at the center of the revolution: the jazz singer. It's the moment people point to when movies got sound.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you. You ain't heard nothing. You want to hear Toot Toot Tootsie? All right, hold on. No, listen. Play Toot Toot Tootsie. 3/4, you understand?
That has become the cinematic equivalent of Neil Armstrong's moon landing. Hollywood froze and audiences gasped. The era of silent films was over. However, The Jazz Singer was not the first movie with synchronized sound. To find the real first, we need to go back 1 year. To Warner Brothers, a studio that, at the time, was considered small, ambitious, and a little reckless. And to a film that almost no one talks about outside of film history classes today. August 6, 1926, the lavish romantic adventure called Don Juan premiered at the Warner Theater in New York City. Don Juan starred John Barrymore and featured sword fights, swirling caves, and dramatic passions. But what really mattered was off-camera. Warner Brothers was experimenting with a technology called Vitaphone. Vitaphone didn't record sound on film. Instead, it used giant phonograph discs played in perfect sync with the projector. It was like trying to DJ an entire movie while also trusting that the projectionist never sneezed, bumped the machine, or blinked too hard. For the first time, audiences watched a complete feature with a fully synchronized orchestral score and perfectly timed sound effects baked into the experience. Doors slammed, swords clashed, and music swelled exactly on cue. It wasn't live musicians, it was part of the film. Repeatable, consistent. Don Juan didn't have spoken dialogue, but that wasn't what made it historic, because sound effect and music locked into the image had never been done before in a feature film. However, some people still argue that true synchronized sound would include talking. That's where The Jazz Singer comes in. The Jazz Singer wasn't the first film with sound, but it was the first feature where audiences heard a performer speak and sing from the screen itself. A voice, captured, preserved, paired with an image. That emotional shock rewired the industry, and everything that followed, from musicals to Marvel blockbusters, can be traced back to that single moment of Al Jolson opening his mouth and singing into history. The innovation that proved synchronized sound was possible, practical, and powerful, that was Don Juan, the forgotten pioneer, the movie that walked so the jazz singer could belt. But I digress.
The Rambler Network.